Hey there, it's Jer. I'm here for week number 7 of the IBL Season 4. I am your coach of the Seattle Pidgeots, and this week we were taking on Ryan. He's the coach of the Emerald City Espeons. Coming into this week, I was a little busy, had laptop issues, so I couldn't do a live comm last week or this week, but I'm doing post comm for this week, and hopefully live comm will be back for week 8, getting my laptop fixed as we speak. So yeah, coming in, this was an important match. We're about midway through the season. We're in the same division as the Emerald City Espeons, and we were both 3-3 coming in. He was he was even differential, and I was +1 differential. So this is a big game for playoff implications later on. Anyway, so he brought Excadrill, Alolan Persian, Mega Charizard X, Mew, Staraptor, Whimsicott. I brought Necrozma, Quillfish, Piloswine, Slowking, Tapu Koko, and the newly acquired Scolipede, which I acquired for week 6, which I never really got to make a video about because of laptop troubles. Meant to, never got to. But yeah, I traded Dugtrio for Scolipede. So yeah, Scolipede came last week, it comes this week as well. His whole team that he had access to was Mew, Staraptor, Whimsicott, Alolan Smeargle, Alolan Persian, Golisopod, Mega Charizard X, Excadrill, Alolan Raichu, Gigalith, and Seviper. And of course, my whole team being Tapu Koko, Scolipede, Slowking, Cobalion, Hitmonlee, Quillfish, Vullaby, Mega Pinsir, Tangrowth, Necrozma, Piloswine, and Altaria. So yeah, let's just jump right in. I led off with my Tapu Koko because I didn't think that much could switch into it other than Excadrill, and I didn't think if he did lead Excadrill, I could easily switch something in, which would be Slowking. So I led Tapu Koko. He leads the Mew and goes straight into the Excadrill on what he thought was going to be an electric type move. I'm a pretty offensive, pretty offensive kind of support. Tapu Koko just here to do damage. I have Roost, so I just U-turn out, and I go into Slowking. Here I'm expecting that his switch into Slowking would be the Whimsicott, so I actually go for Ice Beam, knowing that he's not going to stand on a Scald. So I go for Ice Beam, but he switches into Mew, which is interesting. So here I go into Piloswine as he sets up a Rock Polish. This is turn 3. Nothing is weakened on my side of the field. And you see there, he goes for Double Dance. So +2/+2. I'm like, okay, I have to toxic this thing. So yeah, immediate threat, and he turns out to be Z move. So Genesis Supernova Munium Z. He gets a crit, which doesn't matter. I thought it did originally, but then I wasn't calcing in the psychic terrain, so it didn't matter at all. Piloswine is super bulky, and Piloswine was my Zard check. So honestly, I should not have stayed in there. I should have gone straight into Slowking or Quillfish. But you'll see later. Yeah. So I want to get rid of that terrain because that just makes his Psychics do so much more. So I do. I'm fearing this whole time that he has Thunderbolt because of my electric terrain and Slowking being a thing. So this is how I'm playing. I'm playing as if he has Thunderbolt. So I'm playing as if he's going to use Thunderbolt on this turn. So you see I switch into Necrozma thinking he's going to go for Thunderbolt. He goes for Shadow Ball, which I tank, even though it's super effective because of Prism Armor. And this is basically me sacking Necrozma. So here, as you can see, I switched to Quillfish thinking he's going to go for Shadow Ball again. That was a misplay on my part for sure. I should have just let Necrozma go and kept Quillfish at full health. As you see here, he's going to go for Psychic and take on my Quillfish for nothing. So not a great start, but the Mew does die to Toxic on this turn. So Peliswan gets its first kill of the year, but I'm down a Pokemon. Plus Necrozma is super weak, and it's a slow Calm Mind subset, so it's not going to be able to come in and heal up on much, really at all. Yeah. So he goes into a Whimsicott here, as I go into Tapu Koko on the mutual switch in, or whatever. He goes for Tailwind, which is very interesting, as I just U-turn out. Obviously Prankster goes before me, and I go into Scolipede because this thing, unless it has Psychic, it can't kill me from full unless it's Specs Psychic, and it just used Tailwind, so I don't expect it to be Specs. As well as the fact that the only other way he could kill me was Z Psychic, and he already uses Z. So I forced it out with Scolipede, and I just hit Protect. But there's a Tailwind up, so I know that this Excadrill can outspeed me and possibly kill me here. But judging on how the U-turn damage did back when I hit it with Tapu Koko, I knew it had some bulk, because it was supposed to do about 13% uninvested U-turn to uninvested defensive or offensive Excadrill. It did 6% instead, so I knew that there was at least some HP in there, but I wasn't sure. So I hit Protect again here to make sure I was faster than this Excadrill through the Tailwind. And I launch off, boom, Fightinium Z, Superpower. Last week I didn't even realize that this thing gets Superpower. You can see I crit him there, which he turns out to be Assault Vest, Max Defense, Max HP, Excadrill. So that was really interesting. Oops. Rip. But yeah, so I get the crit, which ends up mattering kill-wise, but because he's not max HP, max defense for attack, Earthquake only did like 60% to Scolipede, and I would be able to take it out on the next turn. Which you'll see in the chat. We talk about how it could have mattered chip-wise later in the game, but it ended up not mattering at all. Scolipede's HP did not come into effect later in the match at all. So yeah, Scolipede gets another kill, 2 kills in 2 weeks for Scolipede. He brings in Mega Charizard. I do have Earthquake, but I know it doesn't kill, and I don't want him to be able to set up in my face. So he just goes for a Fire Punch. And it's pretty nice because Flare Blitz did a lot, and so did Dragon Claw. So I switch to Slowking, take barely anything. And my thought process here is that I want to Toxic it in case it wants to set up in my face. I was fearing it had Thunder Punch, of course, because of my terrain. So he goes into Whimsicott, I get a Toxic off on that, he sets up another Tailwind, and I Ice Beam it. Here I switch into Necrozma as he goes for U-turn, and now Necrozma's basically dead, and he sends in Staraptor. So Staraptor was really scary in this match. I was fearing Scarf the whole time. Because nothing on my team could outspeed, like, Scolipede outsped it after a Protect if it was Scarfed, but didn't kill with anything, because I had burned my Z move, and Tapu Koko died to a Double Edge if it was Scarfed. So my check to this in my head was Slowking if it was Scarfed. He goes into the Alolan Persian here. I fire off a Scald, and the Tailwind ends. I go into Tapu Koko because basically, unless he has Gunk Shot, nothing the Persian can do can really touch me. He Parting Shots into Mega Charizard, obviously to try and set up. And so I U-turn into Slowking, immediately trying to get a Toxic off and stop him. So he ends up setting up twice in my face, and I do click Toxic. And of course, I'm still fearing Thunder Punch at this point, which I would live 1. I think it did about 76 or something through terrain +2, which is not a lot, but I was max defense. But he ends up having Earthquake instead. So that means that I can live and slack off the damage with leftovers. And he realizes that immediately, that I can stall him out, and he switches into the Persian. And the terrain is gone, so of course my switch into this is the Tapu Koko. He goes for Fake Out, and here I go for U-turn, which is interesting because I was actually pretty slow on Tapu Koko. I was just enough speed to outspeed a base Alolan Raichu, which I realized after the fact that Alolan Raichu's ability would in electric terrain makes it double its speed, so that wouldn't actually be slower than Tapu Koko in terrain, which most of the time Tapu Koko's in terrain. Either way, that's what I calculated to outspeed. And Persian's 115, Alolan Raichu's 110, so I had less speed than 361. But he ends up being a slower variant as well. Either has some defense or whatever. And so I go into Scolipede, fearing the Gunk Shot, which he ends up having, and Scolipede gets another kill with Mega Horn. Thankful that a land did Mega Horn there. Yeah. So he goes to Staraptor, and here is where I find out that this Staraptor is a problem. He is banded Adamant Nature Staraptor with Double Edge, so I'm like, oh boy. But him being banded also means that Tapu Koko outspeeds all the time. So he kills my Slowking, taking tons of recoil in return, and I'm able to send out Tapu Koko here and pressure him as I outspeed the Staraptor. And I end up taking out the Staraptor with Thunderbolt. This was really interesting play. So we found out, or I realized, I didn't think of this in the moment, but if he had actually switched into Charizard on the Thunderbolt and saved the Staraptor, he could have sacked the Charizard, gone into Whimsicott for free, while also getting damage off on Tapu Koko, set up a Tailwind, and Staraptor could have potentially won under a Tailwind. The only thing that I could have done in that scenario was get a double protect on Scolipede, because at 49%, which the Staraptor was at before Tapu Koko killed it, I could take it out with a superpower. Yeah, that was the one way that I could have lost in this scenario, which there's no way around it for me. But I have Hidden Power Ground on this because he has Excadrill and Charizard, but he ends up setting it up a D-Dance, and this would be super scary. And he probably thought that it was super scary for me, but I am Shukaberry. So I eat the Earthquake, eat it by taking 78%, and I'm able to pick up Koko's second kill of the match with Hidden Power Ground. And that will pretty much do it. Here, if I didn't calc this, I was just trying to get it done. But I figured Thunderbolt would kill. It didn't, and I knew at this point, I didn't know at this point if he had Psychic or not, so I didn't want to risk switching in Scolipede to just save some differential at one point. So I end up Thunderbolt, it doesn't kill, and he ends up killing me with Moonblast. But Toxic takes him out, so Slowking actually gets that kill. And it ends up being a 1-0 win. So we move to 4-3 with a differential of +2. We are third place in the Western Division. Emerald City is below us at 3 and 4. They are -1. We are +2. We have Karachi Kingdras and Sydney Thunderous above us in that order at 5 and 1 and 6 and 0. so there's barely any chance that I'm going to catch any of them. But if I can hold on to the third spot, then I'd be happy with that. So next week we play my good friend Lee and the Portland Trail Blazikins. And that one should be pretty awesome. I like playing Lee. But yeah, so we got, I think, 4 weeks left. Let me just check. I have it pulled up on my phone. Yes, 4 weeks left. So 8, 9, 10, and 11. We play the Portland Trail Blazikins and Lee. Then we play the Dark Cave Darkrai's with Darkrai. And then we play the New World Trevally with Zapu. And final week is against Maxi and the Muscovian Sandslashes. So I'm looking to pull out, I'd expect to lose to Darkrai. I think I could win the other 3. That's what I hope to do. That would end us up at 8 and 4. No, my math is wrong. That would end us up at 7 and 4, which would be clean. But yeah, that's all I got. I will probably, hopefully, I'll be trying for a live comm for week 8. Maybe even Lee and I can record at the same time. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and sub. And I'll see you in week 8.